30 hertz straight up.
Hello, you guys, on this wonderful Wednesday. We are live every Wednesday at 6:30. Okay. We are going to be talking about expressing your unique style while navigating life with lupus. Let's celebrate our individuals, which our individuals. These Invisaligns. Okay, you guys, I got something. I switched my trays today, so I'm talking funny.
Okay.
So yeah. I can't get my words out. Excuse me, you guys. However, we got the beautiful, amazing, high fashion, international model here.
Yes.
How are you doing, beautiful?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I am great. You are so beautiful. She is so beautiful. Look, just see, the thing about models is you can just do whatever and it's fashion.
You're right.
It's fashion. So before we get into that, who is the lovely Denise? Who are you? How did you get into modeling?
So I am Denise. I am a international runway and commercial and print model. International runway, commercial, and print model. I've done a fashion show in Milan and Paris. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. I was the opening model for the only U.S. designer.
Girl, say what?
In Paris Fashion Week and Milan Fashion Week. And then I did a photo shoot in Dubai. Okay. I have been to New York Fashion Week twice. I modeled during Essence Fest. I've done a lot.
Girl,
so I've been modeling since 2014.
Don't minimize it. Keep going. Keep going.
I've been modeling.
You did some amazing things.
Yes. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
I'm happy for you.
My modeling journey has taken me to literally like greater heights.
Oh my God.
So I've been modeling since 2014. My very first fashion show was at the War Memorial in the middle of a blizzard.
Okay, so let me pause you on that. So you see American Top Model, right? You see all the stuff that they do. So is it really like that? Like you in a blizzard and you gotta make that, strike that pose?
Okay, so luckily the fashion show was not outside.
Okay.
The blizzard just impacted the attendees.
Okay.
Because I was there before the show started, before everything really got started for real. I had been there probably like all day or a few hours before it really started snowing. But like when it became showtime, it was a full-blown blizzard outside. So my very first fashion show, I'm like, I don't know who gonna make it. Like I invited all these people, but it's a blizzard outside. I don't know who gonna come.
That's crazy.
It was even crazier. It was still a packed house. So everybody I invited that was there, and everybody else, all the other models and their people who they invited, everybody was there.
And where was this at?
It was at the War Memorial.
So didn't that make you feel special?
It did. Because I'm like, man, listen, if that was me, I don't know if I'd have made it in a blizzard.
That was your first modeling gig?
Yes, that was my very first modeling gig.
So what did that feel like?
It felt like the same as it does today, an adrenaline rush.
Really?
Yeah, I would literally compare it to like the anticipation of like you on a roller coaster, the anticipation of you going up, and you know that when you get to the top, you're about to drop. So it's the anticipation of, okay, so the model in front of me is going. Okay, then the model in front of them is going like, it's okay, it's showtime now, it's do or die. And as soon as I hit that runway, I could be nervous the whole time beforehand, butterflies, all of that. But as soon as I hit that runway, it's a flip of a switch and it's showtime. It's go.
Girl, that's what I'm talking about. So it's always new.
Yes.
It's not something that you can get used to.
Not for me, no, because I love it and every show is different. So, and I've done some of the same shows, but each time is different because it might be a different designer, it might be a different crowd, it might be a different venue, a different stage.
So I know we pivoting, like we're going around a circle, stopping, turning, right? Okay, so listen, walk me through the behind the scenes.
Oh, child. Okay, so usually how it goes, I was gonna say if the show is on a weekend, but it really doesn't matter if it's on a weekend or a weekday. If it's a weekend, we probably usually have to get there a little bit earlier than if it's on a weekday because most of us still got regular jobs and shit. But behind the scenes, you start hair and makeup. So let's just say the show starts at 6 o'clock. Doors open at 5. So we need to be ready and in our clothes by 4:30. So that means that hair and makeup has to be done by 4. And depending on how many models there are, mostly everyone is going to need hair and makeup because, like myself, I don't do my own hair or my own makeup. Have been spoiled.
Like, take care of me.
Yes, I absolutely have been spoiled. Shout out to all the hairstylists and the makeup artists that I worked with over the years. You all have been amazing and definitely have spoiled me. I have a few of my favorites that, just return show after show. And so those are the ones who really spoil me because they know who I am and we have a good chemistry together.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I just had to throw that out there.
No, that's important.
But yeah, so our day usually starts at about noon. So that everybody can get hair and makeup because we also during that time we're probably going to have 1 or 2 run-throughs as well. So we're just in street clothes before we put on our actual designer clothes. We want to get a feel of the stage. How does it look? We might have choreography where we're crossing one another, or we might be doing doubles or triples. So we need to just kind of work out the little last minute kinks. So we have to be there early.
That the whole thing just by far, and I know you haven't got so much, sounds exciting.
It is. That's why I say I've been doing this for 10 years and I don't see me stopping really for real. Like I may pick and choose what shows I want to do, but just completely stopping, I don't see it happening for me anytime soon because there have been models that I started with who don't do it anymore, which is fine. And I understand, they long days and things like that. But at the same time, it's something that I love and it is exciting.
So would you consider yourself a vet in the game?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. So where you started from, would you give back to your community?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you did so high end fashion international shows.
For sure.
Sure. That's dope because most people don't.
For sure. So I'm always willing to answer any questions, train models. I've done just some couple of one-on-one like before the show. I wouldn't consider myself an actual runway coach, but if I was thrown into the role, I could absolutely handle it.
So what makes you qualify as a coach since you already have 10 years in?
It's just really, I would say I could do it. I just don't consider myself one. So because I am a vet and I do have 10 years in and I've done so many different shows, I could absolutely be qualified as a runway coach. I just choose not to.
Okay, so that's something that you won't go in, but you would dibble and dab if
yeah,
need be.
Yeah. If need be, if models want to come to me and say, hey, I'm just starting out. I like your walk. Can you give me some pointers or can you show me this? Can you show me that? Absolutely. I'm willing to do that.
That is dope because most people don't. That's so dope how you can climb to the top and you willing to reach back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Pull
them to the top.
Somebody had to give me a chance.
Confident in yourself and in your space and your spot.
For sure. Somebody had to give me a chance. Had somebody not given me a chance, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm never too high up to be like, no, I can't do that or won't do that.
Seriously, like the vibe that I'm just getting from you guys is excited. Like, what? So like a kid in a candy store right now because you gotta be like all butterflied in the middle. Like that just sounds so amazing. So I know we pivoted. So let's go back. How did you get into modeling? Like, where were you raised? Where you from?
So, so I won't say it was an accident, but like it's never something that I really thought 15 years ago that I'd be doing 15 years later. I always thought about it. I dreamt about it. I thought about it some more, spoke it and say, hey, if it drops in my lap, then I'll run with it. If not, then that's fine too. I was in Girl Scouts in middle school and they did a fashion show there. So I was in the fashion show for the Girl Scout troop, just doing little stuff when I was younger. One of my friends that I went to literally elementary school with, like second and third grade, said that she found a book of some project that we did, and it said, what would you consider your friends to be? Like, who do you see your friends are when they grow up? She had me as a fashion designer, or something related to fashion. So okay. I'm like, who knew in the second grade that now at 33 I would actually be doing something surrounding fashion. Now I'm not a fashion designer, but I do know a lot of fashion designers, and I'm a runway model, runway commercial and print model.
That is so dope. So it started from when you was doing the little things, right?
Yeah, it really started from the little things. My very first fashion show, it was one of those, like, it fell in my lap, so I ran with it.
So it literally fell in your lap?
It literally fell in my lap. A friend of mine at the time said, hey, I know some clothing designers. These clothing designers are putting on a fashion show, but they need models for the fashion show. I remember you saying that you've been doing something like that. Do you want to do this show? Sure, give them my contact information. Let's talk about it. See, I've never done this before, so I don't know what it looks like. And we connected, and the rest is history, really. That was my very first show at the War Memorial in 2014.
That is amazing. I got to give you applause for that because that's dope. And how you manifested that, literally said, if it fall in my lap, and it literally just fell
in my lap. And so I said, okay, well, here's my opportunity. It fell in my lap, so I'm going to run with it.
So what's the pros and cons of modeling for you?
I'll start with the cons. So the cons are definitely the long days.
What is long? What do you consider long? Like an 8-hour work day?
Yes, because like I said, we had to be there at 12. Mm-hmm. If the show don't start till 6 o'clock, it's probably not over until 8 o'clock. And so that's literally an 8-hour work day. And sometimes you're paid and sometimes you aren't. Sometimes you're paid handsomely. Sometimes you're paid not so handsomely. And it's really the long days and just dealing with everybody. Not everyone has a positive attitude. Some people are there just to be there. Some people don't know what's going on. Some people know what's going on, but would rather just get this day over with. And so to me, I'm just like, I have learned to just kind of like stay out the way. I talk to everybody. I don't have no problem talking to anybody, but I'm also not going to mesh in with anybody with like a negative spirit. So I just kind of stay to myself sometimes, or like I said, there have been a few times where I know the models. So if I already know them, then, I'll go over and talk to them and have a conversation with them. But yeah, so that's the negative. Long days, models with not so great attitudes. I won't say necessarily being starved, but we're not always given much to eat because they don't want us bloating and not being able to fit our clothes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, they don't necessarily starve us, but they're not also giving us a 5-course meal either.
Just enough.
Yeah, really just enough. Like you probably have some fruits and veggies, a sandwich, and maybe some chips, but you're really not even supposed to eat all of that. Like you're just supposed to eat like the bare minimum until after the show, because most of the designers have made these clothes to fit your measurements. And so you gaining an inch or two around the waist because you didn't ate 3 Big Macs, like now your clothes don't fit.
Has that happened?
Not to me.
Have you witnessed that?
Yeah. from somebody, not necessarily just like I've eaten and now 2 seconds later I can't fit my clothes, but just from the time of fittings, because we have fittings before the actual show day.
Okay.
Fittings are usually done maybe about a week or so before the actual show day, so the designer can finish up any last minute alterations that need to be done. But yeah, there have been times not even necessarily muscle mass for people who work out. And so now your arms are a little bit more buff than they were before. So now these sleeves fitting a little tight around your arms.
So do they wing it?
You have to.
Okay.
You definitely have to.
If they
The designer might be, slightly upset, but in the moment, what can you do about it? Like from fitting to show day, now it's show day. There's literally nothing you can do.
So is it really the body and the clothes?
Yes. Yes. It's both. It's always both. And it's the attitude in the clothes, because as a model, my job is to sell whatever I have on to the audience. The goal is to make that designer money from selling my outfit. I don't care if it's a paper sack that I have on. I'm going to do my best to try to sell this paper sack to somebody, so somebody in the audience want to buy this paper sack off of me when I get done.
And that's how it literally works, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
that is so funny. So okay, I heard you talk about negative attitudes. Have that ever impacted your walk?
No, because I don't let other people's emotions control how I operate. I can only do what I came here to do. I came here to do a job, and my job is working with and for essentially the designers to sell their garments. So that person's negative attitude has nothing to do with me.
Okay, so you said as far as the pay kindly and not so pay kindly, do they pay for your travel and hair and makeup and all of the expenses?
It literally depends on what show it is and who you're working with. Some people yes, and some people no. For the hair and makeup for the local shows, well, for all shows, I don't think I've ever had to pay for hair and makeup. I do tip them.
That's nice.
But I don't actually have to pay like what it would cost for a full face for a show, unless I'm going outside of the hair and makeup people that they have at the show. Now, if I decide that I want to go to my makeup artist, then yes, I'm going to have to pay my makeup artist what she's asking.
Okay.
But for the hair and makeup team that they provide at the show, no, we don't have to pay for that.
That's pretty interesting. So when we were talking about giving back to the community, you did something amazing like last week or a week before ago.
Yes.
That was thrown by Sherman Phoenix for a retreat, right?
Yes.
How did that come about? Because you gave back, you are a Paris model, international, high end, right?
Yes.
15 years in, and you're back in your hometown for Sherman Phoenix at the retreat.
Yes.
Doing a walk.
So shout out to Sherman Phoenix. So I actually, believe it or not, even though I'm 10 years in the game, there are certain shows that I still have to audition for.
Really?
So they had the open model call. I came to the model call and I was chosen. Now, 9 times out of 10, if I show up to say a model call, because I've been working so long, it's 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be chosen. But it's just the formalities of actually having to show up. If I don't show up, then I'm not chosen. I didn't audition.
So your name ring a bell around here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
And if you don't know my name, you know my face.
That part. I don't know her name, but the girl with the red hair,
right?
Sandy hair.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty dope. So, did you feel like? Because some people feel like it's beneath them because they're back at home, right? Because you did some amazing things. Did you still feel like you was giving it your all?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like any show that I choose to do or that I'm called for, because I have been called to do shows, because there have been shows that there is no model call for. So it's not an open casting. These designers or the show producer are choosing their models. So there have been times where I have been chosen by the designer or chosen by the show producer. So no matter what show it is, whether I'm in Paris or whether I'm here at the Sherman Phoenix for the retreat, if I choose to do a show, then I'm going to give it 110% because that's just who I am. And also, I don't want I don't want that to reflect bad on me if I choose to do a show or I'm called for a show and only do half. Oh, this is just a small show, or oh, it's just a Sherman Phoenix. Ain't nobody gonna be there, or you don't be any big name people there. That doesn't matter. I was always taught whether it's 3 or 3,000, you give 110%.
That is so dope, and that is so true.
Because
And many people don't rock like you.
The people who you might not think are the big names could be that person to give you your big break. Whatever that might look like to you. For me, I would say my quote unquote big break would be to be in like a Target ad or on a billboard for Kohl's or something like that. That's my big break. I've done a lot and I'm grateful for all the things that I've done, and I hope to do a lot more, but that would be my big break.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. I'm sure they checking for you, because I always seen you, but I never officially met you or knew who you were.
Yeah.
So when I first seen you, I'm like, fashion. I love everything about fashion.
Yeah.
So I had to tie it in.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, I need you to be on the show, especially after you just got through doing the retreat.
Yes, that was a really good experience, and I feel like that was.
What's your takeaway? What was your experience?
So, we were talking about the behind the scenes. I feel like every show, no matter big, small, or indifferent, every show behind the scenes is always crazy. It's always going to be the hustle and bustle. It's always going to be pulling in this direction, pulling in that direction. Okay, you ready? No, not yet. Okay, are you ready? No, not yet. Whether it be the hair, whether it be the makeup, whether it be the designers. Okay, come fit this. Or I know I had you wearing this, but I think I changed my mind. I'm gonna give that to this person, and you're gonna wear this. Like, it's always a hustle and bustle behind the scenes. Like, on the outside, you never know how chaotic it is behind the scenes.
Oh, I can bet.
But as a model, just example for the Sherman Phoenix retreat, because I was also helping out someone else, I was running up and down the stairs all day. Hair and makeup and the designers and everything were in the lower level, but then the actual main retreat was on the main floor. So I was going downstairs, checking with the hair and makeup team. Okay, so how many people do you have in front of me, or am I next? Or, I was running up and down the stairs all day and it was chaotic. I was trying on clothes for designers. Okay, this is what I had you in. Yeah, I'm gonna keep you in that. I'm gonna actually throw this accessory on with it. We didn't talk about that, but this is what I'm gonna do now because I like the look. Like,
do you ever get frustrated in all of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's a lot. Like, I'm used to
a lot,
but it's a lot. That's why I said, like, that's a con, because you got this long day, and it's not like it's a long day and you're just sitting there. It's a long day. Well, sometimes you are just sitting there because after you get your hair and makeup done, then you're waiting on the run through, depending on where you fall in line, or you sitting there waiting to get your hair and makeup done. So you could be just sitting there. So that's frustrating. I feel like I'm wasting time. There's something better that I could be doing with my time. But also, you have to wait. There's only a specific amount of people. There's only 3 hair people. There's only 3 makeup people, and there's 25 models. So you have to wait.
So I experienced that, but never to your extent. So how we tying this all in together, too, for those that's just joining us, Lupus and fashion is going together, right? So you are a international high-end fashion model.
Yes.
I love everything about fashion.
Yes.
And I have Lupus. You know somebody with Lupus.
I do.
So we are tying it in that way to the people that is watching. So for John Casablanca, I don't know if you ever heard of them before.
I did. So
I went through them before.
So I didn't go to John Casablanca. I actually went to their, I guess what you would say, competitor, John Robert Powers.
Okay, I heard of them.
Yeah.
So I experienced like getting my portfolio really ready. You know, they grade you from like I think it was an A, B, or C at that time.
Okay.
And I had got a B, so I needed more work, but I completed the whole thing. But it was just like, after all of that, like, I didn't know if it was scams or not. You know what I mean? People would say like, oh, you got a showing in Chicago or come here, but you would have to pay for everything up front, and then they would reimburse you. And I never it was always like, is it real? Is it not? What's going to happen? Right. So I never just fell through with it. So I just, I like fashion. I watch y'all.
Yeah, I get it because I think I had a meeting with John Casablanca, and I felt the same way that you felt. I didn't go through the whole program with John Casablanca, but just from the meeting when they were saying like, okay, well, you have to pay this much and then we'll reimburse you and then this, that, and the other, I was just kind of like, I'm not really sure about this. Like, nah. But then I ended up going to John Robert Powers, who are essentially the same thing, just a little bit cheaper because they're a little bit smaller company. And I kind of went through their program, and I paid for it. My parents helped me pay for it at the time, and I feel like I got experience, but there wasn't anyone there to tell me that what I was doing. So I wasn't doing runway there. So let's start there. So I was not doing runway at all, but I knew that I wanted to do runway.
Okay.
But what they were doing was also preparing me to be like a commercial model, because I was reading like little 2 or 3 liners for different commercials, like Colgate or something like that, like how you see those little 30-second commercials.
Yeah.
They were giving me those scripts to read on camera. I wasn't told that like that's commercial modeling. I wasn't given that information at the time. All I knew was runway modeling, what you see on TV, what you saw on America's Next Top Model. So I'm like, what y'all doing? I don't want to act. Like,
oh yeah, but you know that goes hand in hand.
I do now.
Yeah, you know that goes hand in hand.
Like, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think they told me that at the time. So in my mind, I'm just thinking like, y'all wasting my time and my money. Like,
it was a little bit expensive, but the pictures was dope.
That's what I said. I got some good pictures out of it. But yeah, I just wish it had been further explained to me, and maybe I could have been a little bit farther. Journey. Not to say that I haven't gone far, but
you did some amazing things. Don't be so hard on yourself.
I probably just pivot a little bit, and because I feel like I can't say I feel like I have done a lot more runway than I have print and commercial modeling. Now I've done enough, but I could have done more had I been told from the jump, like, hey, the script that you're reading, that's a part of modeling too.
Oh, so you found out on the back end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So how can fashion choose empower those living with lupus? Like, so from the person that you know that has lupus, just dealing with her, can you answer that question?
So I think so. The actually the person who really first introduced me to the modeling, she has lupus, and so she never wanted to be an actual model, but she helped on the back end. So how I said that behind the scenes is always chaotic. There's always like stage hands. So that's essentially what she is a stage hand.
Okay.
So she never put on any clothes for any designer. She never rocked the runway. She never was the one creating the designs, but she was a stagehand. She was the one who, okay, if I have 2 or 3 different looks back to back, I need somebody to help me get out of these clothes so I can put on my next clothes and be back on cue for the next designer.
Okay.
So she was back there helping all of us models get dressed and undressed for our next scene.
Is it a reason why she wasn't a model?
She just chose not to be.
She just chose not to be.
I think maybe because from what I understand about those living with lupus, now obviously everybody is different, but it kind of drains your energy.
Yeah, it does.
So I think she probably made that choice for herself to say, hey, listen, because my energy level might be low that day, I'm not even going to chance it. But I can help y'all. My energy level be up enough that I can help. Can't rock the runway, but I can help y'all and make sure that y'all get out there on time.
So you guys empowered her.
Yes.
That's so dope. Yeah. And I bet she loved every bit of it.
Yep. Because like you said, she also loves fashion. So that was her way of being in the mix without actually being a model.
That's dope. That is so dope. That's dope. What materials or design are particularly beneficial for comfort?
I mean, cotton is always comfortable.
Really?
So I feel like anything cotton is always comfortable. Cotton or polyester, anything that stretch, anything that have any type of stretch in it. I feel like those, and then those things that also like fit loosely. So if there's some pants or if it's a flowy shirt, something that's easy to get on and off for those people who have multiple designers. Because like I said, it could be if you have 2 or 3 designers in a show, depending on where the lineup is in the show, they might be all back to back to back to back. So I might be first in this line, but I have to be last in the next line because there's no way, even with make my cue to try to be first again.
How many minutes did they give you to get out to change?
Oh, there is no time frame. It's seconds.
So are you taking off your own stuff, or are people just grabbing stuff off of you and putting
that's why
stuff
we
on
need
you?
stagehands because depending on what I have on, I need some help getting out of this. So I can, as you're taking this off of me, I can be grabbing this and trying to put it on at the same time. It's really like and that. I need somebody else to help me buckle my shoes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I need somebody else to help me put my shoes back on, or maybe put on a different pair of shoes. I took off these boots, but now I have to put on some regular heels. So yeah, I need somebody to help me get out of these boots so I can get in my heels.
Have you ever caught an attitude that wasn't appropriate?
Yeah, I have, but I mean, I just immediately check myself like, listen, this ain't the time, because it's really not the time. Like, we're literally in the middle. We have seconds and then we're the producers and the person who is cueing the models. I tell her, hey, you got people behind you. Take your time. Like, stall a little bit on the runway so you give the model behind you more time to get dressed.
And they would never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Correct.
That's dope. Can fashion be a tool for raising awareness about lupus?
Absolutely. So one of my friends, so actually before COVID, one of my model sisters was planning a show dedicated to all the different, not necessarily, it was cancers, but it was also autoimmune diseases. So because everybody has a different color ribbon. And so she was tying that into a fashion show, saying, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This designer do this designer do that. This is what that's going to represent. This is what this is going to represent. And then, have survivors from each of those, cancers or autoimmune diseases or what have you, speak and be in the show. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
That is dope. I never heard of that. That's here, Milwaukee.
We didn't do it. COVID
y'all didn't do it. Oh, okay.
It was literally, we were talking about it January of 2020, and it was supposed to happen later on in the year.
Bring that back.
It's not my idea, so.
Who is she? Let's find her. Or you can pass the idea over here.
I cannot. It's not my idea.
Whoever she is, she needs to bring that back. That would be super dope.
I've talked to her about it. It actually, the flyer just came up in my memories recently, and so I sent it to her. Hey, remember this?
Reach out to her. I would like to be a part of that. We would like to be a part of that.
Had a flyer created. We had all of the vendors, all of the designers. We had the building. Nothing was actually paid for yet, not to my knowledge, but we had the whole outline of what it was going to be. We had everybody on board as far as vendors and designers, and then COVID happened.
We gotta recreate that.
Yeah,
that gotta be seen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be on you about that. You need to reach out to her, tell her that we are interested in the ideas that she had some years ago. What style help express individuals while managing symptoms?
I feel like that's really an individuality type of thing, because I can't say how lupus affects you today. So today you might be experiencing just a loss of energy, but tomorrow or next week come show day, you might have aches and pains that you didn't have a week ago. So I can't really answer that question, but what I can say is, just for those who are living with any type of autoimmune disease or anything like that, and I say invisible illness is what they're called.
Yes.
Just talk to your designer and say, hey, listen, today is not my best day. I'm still going to put my best foot forward, but today is not my best day because X, Y, and Z.
Do they accommodate people like that?
Absolutely.
Because that's dope. I don't think people know that. So that would be, that's dope.
Yeah, that's it. It's going on the strength of building a relationship with your designer. So you're not just model A, you're Savannah. So you have Savannah has a relationship with designer, not just this designer is dressing model A and that's it.
That's dope because I think a lot of people that has like restrictions or autoimmune diseases or whatever that they probably would think that they would never ever do that. So to even have you on this platform to let them know that the ones that's inspiring of being a model, like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Well, let me use those tools or let me start communicating.
Right. And it's all about networking. That's how I got as far as I did today, because I feel like every photo shoot, every fashion show, every event leads to the next one. Because how I said, whether 3 or 3,000, I'm going to always put my best foot forward, and you don't know who's in the audience. There
Absolutely.
are, how we said earlier, you may not know my name, but you know my face because I've been in that fashion show. Oh, I remember her. She had on blah, 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 blah. You said you didn't know me. You saw me, but you didn't know me.
Exactly.
I don't know who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you had a podcast before I met you. This is another opportunity. Every opportunity leads to the next one.
Absolutely. So you always got to be mindful of what you say, how you talk, how you act, because you never know who's watching.
Correct.
And that's the real thing. How can designers contribute to lupus advocacy through their work?
So like I was saying before about the person who had the idea for the show, just that would be an individual designer thing, but in my opinion, they could maybe create something that say, hey, this is a tribute piece to lupus, and then this is why I made this piece, and just kind of explaining it, just how they kind of did on America's Next Top Model. Now that was more so about the models and the designers. No, but Project Runway was about the designers though.
Yeah, Project Runway was about the designers.
So how they did on Project Runway, when they created these designs, and then they had to explain to the judges why they created this design, what was the inspiration behind this design, how did you do it, what tools did you take, how long did it take you. I feel like if the designer is inspired, then they could do something like that.
That would be dope too, because it's sun protector gear that they have out for people that can't be in the sun like that, and a lot of those clothing are not pretty, right? So I feel like some designers or a designer could take that, because there's certain things in the material that protects us from the sun, so we can be out in the sun for a long period of time, and I know how to maneuver because I've been living with lupus for so long. So I do certain things, but I think that'd be dope for a high-end fashion designer to have sun protector wear for us, so we can still be like fashionable while we're being protected in the sun. Not having to, I'm gonna do an hour or two there, go reapply some sunscreen, coming back and forth. It can be more convenient for us. So I really will hope to see that sometime in the near future. Yes. So before we close out, what do you have coming up? What are you working on? How can they find you, book you, ask you to do, be a part of anything?
So you can reach me on Facebook or Instagram. You can see more of my work on Instagram than you can Facebook. My Facebook is very personal, but I do have some of my modeling work on there. You can reach me on Instagram at MissRed MISS_091. I think I'm pretty responsive to DMs. You can also, if you prefer, you can find me on Facebook, just my first and last name, Denise Smith. I don't really have anything coming up right now. I'm just waiting on the next opportunity, honestly.
You waiting on the next opportunity?
Absolutely.
We're gonna definitely drop those tags in the comments, and like just for giggles, not even for giggles, like what if somebody wants to throw like a birthday party of like model on? Would you be open to creating something like that?
For sure. I feel like I'm open to almost anything that will take me out of my comfort zone. A birthday party is not something that I've done before, but it's also something that I'm not opposed to either.
I love that about you.
So I feel like anything can help elevate my brand. So I feel like as long as it's not, tarnishing who I am as a person first, and then also tarnishing who I am as a model, I'm open to it.
That is so dope. Well, I thank you so much for being here today, a part of this platform. You came up showing up as a model. You got the funky hair going on with the lips, the nice freckles. So
thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Everything scream model, right? So thank you so much for coming on again. You guys know where to find her. Those tags will be dropped in the comments. And until next time, every Wednesday at 6:30. Bye.
Bye.